What's up everybody? Today we're going to go over the two best guns to use in rank play. These guns that I'm about to show you are highly recommended for rank play, whether it would be S&D, hardpoint, or control. These guns will perform amazing in any of these three modes. Anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys waiting, so let's get right into the builds here. The first gun we're going to be going over is the TAC-56. As you can see, all the attachments are on the screen, so if you want to screenshot or pause the video, now is the time to do it. I'll give you a second to do that. So the first attachment we're going to be going over is the demo CLEANSHOT grip, which gives us that sprint to fire speed and that ADS speed as well, with the only con being that you'll have a bit more recoil, but the other attachments in this build will mask that, so you won't even notice it's there. So really just a reliable attachment. It's the high velocity rounds, which will give you that extra bullet velocity, which means that your bullets will hit your target faster and at a longer range. And the con being that you'll have a little less damage range, but with the extra bullet velocity, you'll be killing faster, so you won't really notice a really big difference in the damage. Overall, a really good attachment, especially for those longer range gunfights that you'll be getting in. For the third attachment, you're going to be running the COMMANDO FOREGRIP, so you get that extra recoil stabilization as well as the aiming stability, which is really good about it. But the downside is that you lose a little ADS speed, but this weapon isn't really meant for close range fights, so you can sacrifice a little bit of that for that almost no recoil that this gun has. It's insane. The next attachment that you're going to want is the Cronin OP44, which is going to give you that vertical and that horizontal recoil as well, which actually really balances out the guns with the other cons that we've had before on the other attachments. But the cons on this attachment are the ADS speed and the aiming stability, but as you'll see in the footage at the end of the video, you won't really notice this too well, so it's really a pretty balanced attachment to run. That, or you can run the RF Crown 50, which basically gives you the same thing, but this one just gives you a tiny bit more recoil control. It's going to be the 17.5 Tundra Pro Barrel, which gives us that extra damage range we were looking for, as well as some extra bullet velocity and some hip fire accuracy, which really doesn't matter. The cons on this attachment are hip recoil control, which doesn't matter as well because you obviously won't be hip firing from medium to long range fights, as well as the decrease in the ADS speed. But like I said, that long range fight isn't going to require you to aim super fast, so it really doesn't matter. Now that we have all the attachments listed in the video for the gun, let's get into the tuning of the attachments as well. Now for the first tuning, which will be for the grip, which has no change on the bottom because you're going to want to have that sprint to fire speed, but you're also going to want that aiming stability because if you're going to get into a fight, you're not going to want your gun to be shaking everywhere. So that's why I'm leaving this unchanged, because I feel like it's a pretty balanced tune to have on each side. However, for the tuning on the left, we're going to be headed more for that ADS speed, because for the recoil, we already have most of the attachments helping us with that recoil control. So that's why we're going to be leaning more for that ADS speed, so we can get into those medium range fights. So that's why we're going to go for that negative 0.29 towards that ADS speed. For the next tune, we're going to be going for those high velocity rounds. So we're going to go towards that bullet velocity at the bottom just so we can hit those shots a bit faster. So we're going to be running a plus 0.29 headed more for that bullet velocity. But for the left, we're going to go for some of that extra recoil smoothness just because we had that long range barrel that'll help us with that, as well as the bullet velocity we added at the bottom. So we're going to go more towards that recoil. So as you'll see in the footage later, this gun almost has no recoil, which is amazing about it. So those are the high velocity rounds tunes, so get those in. For the third tune, it'll be for the COMMANDO FOREGRIP, which we won't change the bottom because none of these really matter, so I'm not really going to temper with that at all. You can go like plus 10 for that aiming idle stability, but I like to stay at 0 just so I don't mess up the gun's balance or anything like that. For the left side, however, we will be adding plus 0.26 towards that recoil because the last tune we made before this went for the ADS speed already, so we can get a little less recoil with this tune. For the next tune, we're going to be tuning the Cronin OP44 muzzle, which will have no change at the bottom whatsoever, but you can add about 10 to 15 on the gun kick control if you want to. I could stick with that, but I would go more towards the middle, like maybe like 9 or 10 or something like that. And for the left side, we're going to be going all the way up for the recoil stabilization. We don't really need that ADS speed because of the medium to long range fights. This attachment and this tune particularly is really what gives this gun no recoil at all. So I highly recommend changing this tune all the way up, or you can move down a little bit to like 45 or 33 or something like that. But I like to go all the way up because this makes the gun have 0 recoil at all. You'll see later. For the final tune, we'll be using the barrel, which goes a little more towards the ADS speed, which is a negative 0.20, just so we can get into those more pacey medium range fights as well, because the damage range is covered up anyway by the actual barrel. It doesn't change, except unless you move it all the way up, which it does change, but it doesn't really change once you like move it to the left farther away. You won't really find a really big difference. And on the left side here, once again, we're going to be going all the way up in that recoil, because I feel like there's no need for that aim walking speed, because personally I play aggressive all the time, so there's really no need to have that. I don't really aim around corners, like I don't play tactical. I just run around and shoot people gun and run style, or run and gun style. So this is the tune for the barrel. The second class of the video will be the Vaznev 9K. This build is specifically meant for close to mid-range, and this gun has also been nerfed at the start of Season 2, so it has a little less damage range than normal, but with this new build, you won't even recognize the change in the weapon. So without further ado, let's get right into this amazing build. On the screen, you'll see all the attachments listed. I'll pause for a second to let you guys screenshot or put the attachments on however you like. The first attachment will be the Otrezat stock, which is good for that sprint speed and the aim walking speed, which really doesn't matter. But the only con on this weapon is the aiming stability, but the other attachments on this build will mask that. So they kind of balance out the weapon. All the attachments work perfectly on this weapon. The second attachment is the TRUE-TAC grip, which gives us that sprint to fire speed as well as that ADS speed, which is really good for aggressive play style. But the only one con on this attachment is the recoil control. But once again, the grip that we'll see here in a second cancels that, so there's really no con to this attachment once the other ones are introduced in this build. The next attachment is that 45 round mag, which gives us that little bit of extra ammo, because this gun shoots pretty fast, and the last thing you want to happen in a gunfight is having to reload your gun mid-fight and risk getting third-party, which happens to me every single time. So that's why I'm running the 45 round mag, just to give us that little bit of extra ammo on this weapon. That fourth attachment right here is the FSS SHARKFIN 90 grip, which when put on gives us that idle aiming stability which helps your gun not shake as much, and it's also, there's no con on this weapon, which is pretty nice as well. And the final attachment for this gun is the LOCKSHOT KT85, and when put on gives us that horizontal and vertical recoil control, with the cons being the ADS speed and the aiming stability. But with the tunings on, there's really no visible change to see. And also, speaking of tunings, let's get right into the tunes. First tune is going to be on the stock, when on the bottom it's going to give us that negative 0.39 inches left towards that aiming walking speed, which gives us that little bit of notice in case you want to peek around a corner while ADSing. That's fine, it gives you a little bit of walking speed. And on the left side, you're going to see it's going downwards more towards that ADS speed with the negative 0.26 ounces, which really helps out because a lot of these attachments don't really have that ADS speed, so that really helps out a ton. The next tune is going to be the TRUE-TAC grip, which on the bottom gives us that negative 0.22 inches for that sprint to fire speed, because we really don't need that aiming idle stability, because really this is an aggressive class, not a camping class. If you're a camper, leave the video right now, but make sure to subscribe before you leave. And on the left side, we're going to have that 23 ounces towards that recoil steadiness, so we can get that little bit of recoil, which actually cancels out this grip. It's really nice as well. For our third tune, we're going to be using the FSS SHARKFIN 90. I always butcher that. I don't know why. It's just the FSS is just weird. But on the bottom, we're going to have no change because we want this to be balanced for the aim walking speed and the idle aiming stability, because we did cancel that out a little bit on the last tune. So that's why we're going to keep it neutral on the bottom. But here on the left side, we're going to go up to plus 0.31 towards that recoil stabilization, because the first tune kind of gave us that ADS speed, so we're not really looking for that now. Obviously, for the 45 round mag, it's going to be no tune, because how could you even tune a magazine? That's just pointless. And last but not least, the final tuning for this video is going to be towards the right side on the bottom, plus 0.20 inches towards that gun kick control, which really helps us with that shaking. So we're not going to see much visible shaking on the weapon. And on the left side, we're going to have plus 0.44 ounces, for the recoil stabilization instead of that ADS speed, because that first one really doubted that out. So these are the tunings for the LOCKSHOT KT85, and without further ado, let's get into some gameplay.
Check 'em out. Target destroyed.
Secure the objective. Secure the perimeter. We are securing the headquarters.
Back there. Get behind you.
UAV ready. UAV ready for tasking. Is online. UAV is online.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate the support for the last few streams that I've had. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll also put my Discord server in the description below, so you should join that as well to get updates when I go live or post a new video. And I also like to chat with you guys, so make sure to chat in the public chat if you do join. Appreciate you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.